So you've watched a lot of our videos, right? And if it's one of those videos that shares how we grow certain crops, you know that at a certain time after we've planted or transplanted, we start spraying. And the guys in the videos will be going, and then Pethias will come in and say where we are and what we're spraying. What are we spraying? It's either one of two things. It's either one, crop protection or crop nutrition. Protection is easy, right? It's insecticides, it's fungicides, herbicides sometimes, things that protect our crops from the things that want to destroy my bank balance and mess up with my life. Crop nutrition, that's what we're going to focus on in this particular video. And we're going to be talking about fertigation. We finally started fertigating our crops, and we've discovered that it's an amazing way of getting our fertilizers right to where they want to be. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Mondo Farms channel. My name is Chisha Folotia, and I'm on Riverside 1 at Winterthorn Farm on the outskirts of Chongwe. Here on our farm, we grow a lot of vegetables. And here on our farm, we've had a lot of growth and progress over the last couple of years. But with progress and growth comes more problems. What was it the late Biggie Small says, more money, more problems? Yeah, we've put a lot of time and effort into growing our farm. And with that has come a number of problems. Problems are part of business, right? Whatever you want to do, there's going to be one or two challenges. And it's one of the things that I personally have really loved about being here on the farm, setting up this whole thing since 2020. I remember it was like a couple of years ago when we looked at the issue of spraying, and we realized that using manual sprayers just wasn't going to cut it. And then we were very excited when we went to Saro Agro in Lusaka's industrial area, and we bought our first petrol sprayer, and we were able to spray very effectively. For the number of crops we had at the time, it was all right. Then we bought another sprayer. Then we bought another sprayer, and it's going on. But the farm kept growing. And as the farm has grown, we realized that applying foliar fertilizer to our crops using the sprayers wasn't exactly going to work out for us. We had a number of challenges. But before I talk about the problems that we have, I need to use a very common Zambian term that many of us, especially here in Zambia, know what it means. Amalevos. So everybody doing every kind of business, including farming, will have different type of problems. So there we were, we brought in all these petrol sprayers and we're using them to spray crop protection and crop nutrition on all our crops. And then the cost of petrol started going up. Oh my goodness, it was so much. And geopolitical issues, which we don't really talk about, but that was it. It was now another cost to the farm to be able to finance the cost of petrol. Problem number 2, Amalevos continues. The sprayers started getting a bit older. The farm was growing, and we were now having challenges in terms of having to use them at different times and over hectares and hectares. We really should have bought bigger sprayers, but we couldn't afford that right now. So we then started having a challenge of fixing the sprayers, maintenance, little bits and pieces, little wire goes off here and again. Saro Agro has been amazing in terms of being able to service our machines that they sell us. Wonderful, thank you guys. But it now became a different challenge. So with the farm growing, we then started having a lot of challenges with having enough hours in the day to use the sprayers to be able to do all the things that needed to be done. We're talking about, a bit of purple blotch in the onions, spray for that. You're talking about, a little bit of deficiency in the eggplants, phosphorus, what. Farming, always full of problems. And we had the same 3 petrol sprayers at the farm actually doing all this work. And sometimes they would get a little bit tired, the petrol sprayers themselves, and the petrol sprayerizing people, the teams, those guys that wear the PPEs, the masks and the goggles, and did I just do mask and goggle? Okay, the masks here and the goggles here, they were also getting tired. And remember, some of the stuff that we spray is quite toxic. We're talking DDVP. Ugh. Now, I happen to be rather fortunate because in my day job, what I do is I run a large group of companies in Lusaka in different sectors and fields. I have to deal with a lot of problems all the time. And when you come to a problem in business, you have to think, okay, what is it we're trying to do? And what is it that's stopping us from doing what we're trying to do? What are the various factors, the pluses and minuses? So here it is. We need to be able to use the sprayers to deliver, 1, crop protection, and 2, crop nutrition to our vegetable crops, right? When it comes to the crop protection, there's very little that we can do about it. When you have aphids in your crops, you've got thrips in your onions, it's usually most effective to just spray. Different types of spray, different types of chemicals. You've got funguses, purple blotches and stuff. But when it comes to crop nutrition, that's a different thing. And there's a different way of being able to deliver what you need to, the food that the crops need, right to the roots. And then I remembered a couple of years ago, before I got into serious farming, and I was still doing a bit of research, my brother Chola was at a place in Nyukasama, and he was doing okra, and he was using rabbit urine, making this solution, and then being able to deliver it using this gadget he called the Venturi siphon. And he showed me how it worked. And he was able to, you make your liquid, mix it in the thing, and then it goes all the way down. And I said, that's the one. That's what we need to be able to do. And if we can now bring that to our farm and actually get it done here on our farm, we'll be able to save a whole lot of time and money and be able to fertilize our crops effectively. But as we all know, there's a very big difference between seeing something you know that you will need to do and actually being able to do it. And probably the reason why you're watching this video is because you've seen the word Venturi, you've seen the word fertigation, and now you're thinking, how do I get to do that? So, as my tribal cousin who is found deep down in the valley, that side in Eastern Chipangari, would say, I'm not a professional man, but I have some passion for farming. Now, I'm not an expert either at farming. So when I'm faced with these terms, I always have to break them down and think, what are they talking about? What does it mean? You have to do your research. And that just doesn't mean sending a comment on a video for someone who's already explained something 15 times or so. Let's move on. It means doing your research. You look at a word like fertigation. Fertigation. They've taken the word fertilizer and added it to the word irrigation. Hey, so you're gonna be able to fertilize your crops while you irrigate. Amazing. So in order to fertilize while we irrigate, fertigate, we're gonna need to use a gadget, something to mix the liquid fertilizer with the irrigation water. There are many systems on the market, and here on our farm, we're very simple and we're just getting started. So let's buy the most cost-effective method. I went on Amazon and I bought a couple of Venturi siphons, including this one down here. So we're here at Riverside 1. This block is what we need to fertigate. This block and the last bypass. So we're going to show you how the actual Venturi works. So the first thing we do is before we switch on the system, we make sure no other lines are actually on so the fertilizer doesn't go in the wrong place. As you can see, there's quite a complex array of different irrigation pipes going to different blocks and different bypasses in each different block. We don't do things simply here on our farm. So now the water is running. He just switched on the water. It's coming out of the main tank up there. And he's got the fertilizer in the yellow bucket. Actually, for each bypass, we've worked out that for this particular type of fertilizer, this type, we need to have 20 liters. So there's two 10-liter containers that they will put through the system. So we're going to get a little bit closer now and actually take a look at the system itself as it is working in play. So what you have is the water coming from the tanks into this pipe here, and you've got the whole gate valves and drip valve, and it's coming down here. We stop it, we make this C, we stop it going down by closing this valve, so the water then has to pass through here, and it comes, let me come around this way, here a lighter, it comes into this guy, and then it comes, and then we stop this one, it's stopping. Then it comes through here. When it comes through here, this is the actual siphon itself. And if you remember your Bernoulli's effect from physics, the whole thing about fast flowing liquids creating a vacuum, and that's why you have this pipe here, which is coming from there in the purple, in the yellow, sorry. That's where the liquid is. And the liquid is actually coming all the way down, back to here, sorry, and it comes down here, goes through there, and over to the block of what he is actually fertigating. Let's take a quicker look inside here. That's the reserve tank of the thing. And actually, if I stand here, you will see the water is actually going. So the siphon system is actually working. Can I get a bit closer there? You can see the fertilizer is actually going down, and there's a bit of movement in there, and it's coming through here, and he's about to change now. So he's now pouring in the second 10 liters. And the actual program will continue. And he's going back now to get more liquid for the next bypass that they'll have to do. One of the amazing things about this is that it actually takes a very, very, very quick amount of time for a lot of fertilizer to be applied. Oh, let me do this. So you see a little bit of that. That's a little float valvey thingy that's on the end. I won't take it out of the water because then I'll create an air bubble, and air bubbles are very bad. So here we have the liquid in here, the fertilizer reservoir tank, and then you go down here and you find the Venturi siphon, which is allowing the water to mix with the fertilizer and to go out, and they go happily ever after together all the way down to Riverside 1, Block B, Bypass 2. It took us so long to get to this stage of being able to do this so effectively. There was a lot of learning curves as we had to figure out. We knew how the Venturi worked, but we had to figure out how to get the Venturi to actually work here on our farm. A lot of plumbing here on the farm. Always plumbing. Elbow, T, control valve, T. Oof, lots of architectural plumbing. And that's one of the things that really took us a long time to actually get to figure out how to actually set it up. But now that we have, we're actually quite proud, and we're using the system quite regularly. Quickly following the lines, the plumbing of how it's actually coming through there, and it comes through here, and it is coming. By the way, we're down here in at Riverside 1, Block ABC, where we've got some eggplant that was sown back in July and transplanted about a month ago, September 24th. And there's various blocks of it. And the way we do it here on our farm is we use what we call a bypass. So this is a bypass where the water can bypass the thing, because if you put all these drips on at the same time, it can't handle that pressure. It needs a lot of pressure. So, and also you kind of control what you have, what's going on here. So from this T, it comes through, control it with this valve here, and then it comes to another T, and then it's got 1, 2, 3 lines there, and 1, 2, 3, 4 lines here. And the one that's being fertigated right now is this particular one. So you can see how the drips are coming. Especially if I come down here, there's our little drips now, beautiful little drips. And that water that's coming now has got fertilizer mixed in it. The fertilizer is going where? Right to the roots and can be easily uptaken by the plant, which is exactly what we want. So some might be wondering, why go to all this trouble? I mean, even if you get your liquid fertilizer and you spray it on the leaves, it'll still get into the plants, right? It is also application. Nah, there's a big difference. Let's say you need some vitamins, you as a human being, yes, you. And you put the vitamins on your skin. You put them on your palm. They are gonna have to be absorbed through the skin and then make it into your bloodstream and then out through all the systems and then come back to where you actually need them. They're gonna get to your stomach. Similarly with plants. So think about it. Plants take in nutrients through the roots. And what we're doing here is we're literally delivering the good stuff, the goodness, the delicious fertilizer nutrients down to the roots. Straight down to the roots. And you can't really get better than that, can you? It's going exactly where it's needed to be. So with the farm growing and growing, and we're planting a lot of crops, areas like this down here, we've got to be able to fertilize this crop as effectively as possible. And we found that fertigation works. As we've moved from the very, very, very beginner level to where we are now, medium-sized dish and quite a large scope of operations, we need to have systems in place like this. So we had to put in the time and the effort to actually learn what fertigation is and how to actually use it. But when it comes to farming, people can never agree. They say you put two farmers in a room together and you get three different opinions. And there's a very, very, very big debate about which is better between granular fertilizers or liquid fertilizers. Both granular and liquid fertilizers have their pluses and minuses, and as with most debates, there's never really going to be a winner. We only can go with what we have felt and our vision and our strategy of what we're going through. Let's start with the cost of the granulars. Most people know, for example, you're in Lusaka, Zambia, your typical basal fertilizer is going for about 800 kwacha for a 50 kg bag. How far will that go? It'll go a certain distance, and for a certain area of crop, that's what you're going to need to be able to spread. Then you look at your liquid fertilizer and you buy a 1 liter bottle or a 25 kg of the soluble, and trust me, it goes a heck of a lot further. So we've seen that it's actually quite cost effective to be able to deliver the same quantities of the micronutrients and the nutrients, the nitrogen, the potassium, the borons, and all of that stuff that we need. And that's one of the reasons why we've gone with the fertigation system as well. Oh, and another thing, let's think about what you're doing when you use granular fertilizer. The first thing you would normally want to do is wet your beds. That's when you apply your fertilizer. So first of all, you would open your drips or you open your sprinkler system, whichever way, and then you come and you distribute the granules, the fertilizer powder or granules or whatever it is, right? And then they dissolve. And then they're getting taken up into the roots of the plant. So with fertigation, we've literally cut out one of the steps in the process because the liquid fertilizer is already dissolved, right? Advantage. You can use Venturi siphon systems like this, fertigation systems, for a whole bunch of things. Anything liquid that you need to put down into your crops. So for example, right now we're using a synthetic fertilizer. We're using a synthetic fertilizer, Voema starter. It's giving us phosphorus at this stage. Then, hold on. Voema starter.
Voema vegetative.
Voema vegetative. You see? I even got it wrong. Of course we're not doing Voema starter. Why would we be putting phosphorus on vegetative crops? Maona. Yeah, it was 7. Okay, so back to, get focused. We are using the system to put Voema vegetative onto these crops. They're in the vegetative stage, they haven't started flowering yet. And that's synthetic, but you could just as easily use rabbit urine, like my brother was doing. You could use compost tea, manure tea, anything soluble can actually come down through this system, and it just takes them a matter of minutes, and the guys don't have to put on their masks and do all sorts of... So as I was saying, at the time, I didn't know that you could actually buy quite a range of good quality Venturi siphons right here in Zambia. So I went to Amazon.co, where we get a lot of other things, and I ordered 3 of them, and they came in the mail, in the post, and it took weeks and weeks. And of course, you know, when you buy online, you don't really know what you're getting until you get it in your hand. But I later found out that there's quite a lot of suppliers of Venturi siphons here. Good quality, good pricing. It's actually all locally available. No, I'm not going to tell you where to go to buy a Venturi siphon, because nobody's paying me to tell you where to go. If someone paid me to tell you where to go, then I'll tell you. But they haven't paid me to tell you where to go to buy Venturi siphons at supplier X, Y, or Z. So I'm not going to tell you where to go. But serious farmers do their homework and they'll find out where to go. And you never know. Maybe one day someone will pay me to tell you where to go locally to buy something like the Venturi siphon. So look, the whole system here looks quite complicated. All these bends and twists and turns and stuff. And yeah, that was part of the problem why even after buying this system quite a while ago, we took us some time to really get to understand how we're going to set it up on our farm. That is what we call a knowledge gap, the experience gap, and why it takes a farmer a couple of years to really get into his groove. It takes the guys on the farm as well a couple of years, really understanding what are we doing and what's happening here. We were able to figure out what kind of systems we would need in order to bring the water up, be able to filter it with this filter, bring it down here, put another T here, and then do another bypass and be able to do the mixing. And all of this took us, let's just say, much longer than it should have. But with a lot of political will, we were able to actually get it done. And now we're using the system almost every time we want to put the fertilizer down here. We're gonna have to put more and more of these across the farm in different strategic positions according to each crop. And here we are lucky that what we have is able to cater for all the 6 blocks or 7 blocks here on Riverside 1, from the eggplants over this side to the cucumbers down at the bottom there.
So this is our cucumber, and we have a team in there trellising. So we're gonna go direct to where the fertilizer is being applied. So one of the main advantages of the Venturi is the ability to multitask, which is so very much different from our usual application using petrol sprayers. The fertilizer is being applied and the guys are able to work with other jobs here, like trellising, and without having to wait what we'll call the withholding period after applying chemicals. But it's easy and it's safe for the team to work. So the fertilizer is being induced here, and the plant will be able to pick it up from the soil through the roots and uptake the nutrients. So one other reason why we are happy with the Venturi is the ability to apply the fertilizers direct to the soils. direct to the soils in the plants. So challenges that we usually face with our petrol sprayers is mechanical issues of breakdown and efficacy. So when it's windy, you can't spray because you won't apply it as you want it to be applied. You have multiple losses. Then when it comes to the machine itself breaking down, it needs maintenance. So we are happy with the Venturi because it's just putting the mixture in a drum or a bucket like we have, then we are able to multitask, do other jobs while the fertilizer is being applied. And so Kingswell here just came to close here the gate valve, saying, okay, we've applied enough, and he's opened another bypass. So we're done with the first bypass, the second bypass, and now the third.
So there you have it, a very, very quick look about how we set up our fertigation system that has allowed us to be able to fertilize while we irrigate the crops. Fertigation, another technical thing in farming that I had never heard about before I started this farming journey a couple of years ago. But I looked at the problem, motivated by the problem, should we say. We had a thing that needed to be solved, and we were able to solve that and have a very effective method of being able to feed our crops so that they can grow properly, so that we can take them from the field to the bank, from the bank to our pocket, so I can pay for things for my family. That's why we do farming, right? The farming journey has been amazing and incredible. The farm has really grown over the last couple of years, and I've learned so many things from here. You can do it too if you're one of those people that is still starting out, relatively speaking, in the farming journey. Just keep pushing, just keep pushing. You know all the sayings, no sweet without sweat and all of that. Yeah, same thing. You just gotta keep researching, gotta keep pushing, and you've got to don't be embarrassed to ask questions, and don't be embarrassed to go and see how something is being done. Our job here on the Mondo Farms channel is to help you and inspire you on that journey by sharing some of what we have to actually go through. If you like what you're seeing and you want to see more, kindly press the subscribe button. Ding, when you press the bell icon, it gives you a notification from YouTube when a new video comes, which is around about every 7 to 10 days or so. You can also comment below to share some of your experiences with this kind of thing. You can also like the video if you do like it by putting up the thumbs up button. Press the thumbs up button, please. It looks like this. And you can also share. Let's say you're part of a WhatsApp group or you're part of a Facebook group. You can share the link on this video or just share it with another farmer, maybe your farm workers or someone who would like to be able to see it. My name is Chisha Folotia. I've got to stop talking on this particular video and now shoot another video, which is about these cucumbers, because I promised a little bit. So I'm gonna stop the video and then have a glass of water and then come back and start shooting the next video, which is about the cucumbers. In the meantime, I gotta go now. Shale nipo. Bye-bye.